Hello YouTube, Claude here, or Aaron, which is my real name, with another one. This one is just to talk about Hyprland as a whole. I don't want to review Hyprland because I'm not the developer, but I want to talk about Hyprland and some of the things that I've found helpful, because I was going to create a custom respin of Hyprland. I actually make respins of Linux. They don't necessarily have to be KDE. Although if you look on my channel, that my channel was mainly based at KDE. I started on Nobara from gaming and setting up bottles and doing tutorials for people on bottles and how to set up games and whatnot. And I worked into making my own desktop thing, which is what I use here. It's actually called Torpedo. I had all these different names and this wacky artwork, which is what I started on with planes. My distributions are based off of World War II planes. So this is Torpedo. Torpedo AKGE. And the AKG stands for Arch KDE Gamers Edition. Because I do have a full and a minimal edition. This is the minimal. The full contains more useful applications such as Yuzu, but I have not created that now for the last 6 months because my original Arch was broken. So anyway, I did have a KDE Neon version of my full, and it had all of the applications: Yuzu, PCS3, is it RPCS3, PPSP, RetroArch, bottles. We had the Xbox gaming cloud on it. There was tons and tons and tons of applications. In fact, I can showcase some of them applications when I get my new full built, which is why I'm building my application. Once my application is finished, which is what I showcased last in my last video, then will I start making my full again. I have no reason to game at the moment because my system isn't where I want it to be. Now I'm happy that everything works. I use my system on a day-to-day occasion, but I want to build my application before I start sitting there and playing games. So anyway, Torpedo is one of them. I actually made Mosquito, Lancaster, Spitfire, Hawker. They're all different names of versions that I had in the past that you can now all change to within my system app. Now this took me a bit of time. If we come off of here, and I'll just showcase my old theme changer. So we've got all these different themes that you can change to. We've got all these different desktop backgrounds and colours. And this, I actually showed this in my last video. But yeah, this you got plasma light and plasma dark as well. But we got Torpedo at the top, we got Mosquito, and then we got Lancaster, and then we got Hawker, and we got Spitfire. Now these are all World War II planes. So my distributions are actually based off World War II planes. My original releases had some wacky artwork with planes flying about, loading in, and well, I've been trying to keep my customization not too off-putting. So I removed all the artwork for the planes, but the names are all the same. So we've got Torpedo AKGE, we've got Mosquito AKGE, we've got Lancaster AKG. Now the names, so I started off with Spitfire. Spitfire was my first ever released Linux, and that was on Arch. That was last year. And then I moved from Arch to Debian and KDE Neon and Ubuntu because of Arch problems. Now I've done about 6 months, maybe, no, about 4.5 months worth of updates on Debian and KDE Neon before moving back to Arch because I fixed a problem that I had. Then I worked my way up in different names and different colours, and people were complaining about the colours. They're saying, but when I get older I'm not going to be able to see your desktop, and the colours were too bright, and it's going to hurt my eyes, and it's too much. So I basically went from different colour to different colour to different colour, and then I decided to just go with a plasma Breeze Light, which just makes it easier because people were complaining about the colours and too much customization to do with the colours. So then I made my system app theme changer so that it changed the desktop background as well, because before we would only ever change the colours of the taskbar and everything that you use application wise. Now it changes the desktop images, which is just a bonus. I want to start getting the names of each individual desktop because I've named the desktop colours and image, which obviously are World War II plans. Now my website itself is out of date. Just before we start moving on to this Wayland. So if we actually go to my website, it's a bit out of date. I can update it any time. It's just one of them things I've been pushing away whilst I'm just doing loads of updates, and there is lots of information that is out of date, but for the most part everything is basically written on here. What you see in the pictures is kind of what you get. I need to edit all the pictures now. We've got history of what I actually made. So this was some of the custom artwork that I used to have. So Spitfire AKG was the first ever distribution I ever made. And that was on Plasma 5, and I had issues on Plasma 5. I checked the time, so I moved to KD Neon, and well, I started on Debian, which was Q4 OS. It was a respin of Q4 OS on Debian, which well, Q4 OS actually made their own respin, and then I respin their respin, and then I found out about Debian KDE base ISO. So if you actually go to Debian, if you type in Debian KDE ISO, you can actually get a base KDE ISO off of Debian themselves, and it's just basically a base KDE. You can get GNOME, you can get KDE, you can get LXDE, and you can get all these different things. Now I make respins, so it doesn't matter about what desktop I use. I actually made a GNOME respin of what I'm using right now, and it looked exactly the same at one point. And prior to that, I lost the theme, so obviously I could have recreated it into an ISO you would have installed, but I lost the theme. And this was because I was doing it with Debian and I couldn't create anything on Arch at the time, and Debian didn't work with creating an ISO. Anyway, I want to keep this video short. I want to talk about hyprland. I actually set up hyprland at one point, and I was using it on my machine because I like the tiling side of it. Now, as we all know, I've got my own desktop. This will always be my own desktop, although I've got tons and tons of machines. If you watch my videos, you will see that in some of my videos I'm showcasing all the different machines that I'm using. So I used to have a laptop before it broke. I had a AMD 2600X, which is just gave away on me. I still got the parts there that apparently still work. I might need to get a new board or something. I don't know what's wrong with that. My mates just gave me his computer, which is good for KD Neon. I need to do some testing on KD Neon myself. And obviously I'm using Arch on here right now. So I actually multitask. I use Windows and I use Linux. For the most part I'm using Linux at the moment all the time because that's where most of my work is done. Now Windows is good for setting up games, so if I go download a game and then put it onto a hard drive, then I can play it on Linux, because certain games will not install through Linux, through bottles or any other way. So the only way to do it is through Windows. I'm not against doing it that way. If I have to have Windows on a spare drive in the cupboard, not plugged in, you know, ready for plug and play, then I'm all for it. And that is what I do. So I use a lot of operating systems. It don't have to just be Windows or Linux. I'm on Android, I'm on iPhone. I like to troubleshoot things. In fact, I do most things people don't want to do or shouldn't do. If Debian Frankenstein was a person, it would have been me. Honestly, if you know, I don't know if you lot know anything about this, Debian Frankenstein. Well, if he was a person, it would be me. I do things that people shouldn't do. Don't break Debian. I made a Debian mirror changer. Now, why on earth would you make a Debian mirror changer? Maybe you want the custom apt 3.0. Maybe you want something custom on your Main Debian. We all know Debian app now isn't going to break anything on the system, and I've tested Debian app 3.0 on Debian stable. And they say don't mix all these different things, but if you know what you're mixing and you know it's not going to break the system, then you're all good, which is what I do. So I modify things. I know apt 3.0 works on Debian. I seem to forget all these different versions of their repos. So obviously on Debian stable, which would be sorry, I'm a bit lost here again. So we've got Trixie and we've got Sid, and then we've got Bookworm. So apt 3.0 will work on Bookworm without breaking any of the systems. You can install certain things which will obviously Frankenstein your Debian install, but if you know what you're installing and you've tested it in a virtual machine and you know it's worked, then you're all good to go. They say don't Debian Frankenstein Debian, but if you use your mind and do a little bit of testing, you can use certain things with caution. You just need to take it with a pinch of salt and make sure that you do your testing, because it might crash your system depending on what you're using, which is why you can't use everything from the repos of apt 3.0 of Debian Sid, sorry. Anyway, I've set up hyprland in the past. I've had a lot of issues with graphics cards, and hyprland doesn't like to work in virtual machines. Now, not a lot of people will say this on the internet, but hyprland is not an operating system that you can use on a daily driver, in a virtual machine. It's just got so many graphical issues. It starts doing all of this, and it's not good for people that have got what's it called? Do you know when you what's the word? Epilepsy. When people have got epilepsy, this wouldn't be good. Now, I've got it in a virtual machine, and I just want to put out there that I've used hyprland, Garuda, and I've used various others, but this here, it is a custom set. He's basically doing what I'm doing. He's respinning and making his own, and I have to give it to this developer. As much as I don't really like to showcase other people's work, I have to put out to the main developers that I watch on a daily, which is DistroTube and also Chris Titus Tech. I actually support Chris Titus Tech. I might start supporting DistroTube now on his GitHub. If he's got a way to do that, I'm going to be looking into supporting him as well. But these are the people that are inspiring me. Before I started making my distributions, I was watching their videos to see if they knew anything about making distributions, but I had to figure it out myself. There was not anything on the internet really about the tutorials on how to respin a Linux and put it into a bootable ISO. Anyway, this guy has done it through Arch install, and he's done it perfectly fine. It works well, should I say. I'm just going to boot it up in a virtual machine. Needless to say that this is obviously going to have graphical issues. It don't matter what you use as a graphics card, this will have issues in a virtual machine. On main hardware, this works perfectly fine. If I was going to go for a customized hyprland setup, I'd go for this one right here. And you can go on the internet and learn how to change the mod keys and change the desktop background picture. I've done things like that. There's software out there to have a background picture changed to various pictures, and obviously I'm about customization, so you can change the dock if you really wanted. You can go download custom docks, or you can change the picture so it doesn't show, and there's all these things that you can modify on hyprland. Now, me as a whole, I've had a tinker, because I like to tinker, and I built it from base Arch install and had a tinker. As you can see, all these graphical issues, we're having really bad graphical issues, but this is a really good I'd say this is a really good way to start on Hyperland. If you want a base Hyperland setup, this has got to be it. Really and truly, you've got everything basically that you need. You've got these, you've got your own mod keys. If I just go on my phone for 1 second, sorry, because I was on the internet looking for the mod keys for this specific distribution. Now, obviously, I'm not doing a review, although I do like this as a setup. I just think this is a good recommendation. So they have actually got their own terminal mod key, which is the Windows key. It would normally be and T, and this will open the terminal, and then we've got all these different other buttons. So we've got, like, you can change to a different desktop. I'm not too sure if we can close. Yeah, we can close. So if I open that again, see, I'm all about learning. I don't like to stick to one thing. I like to evolve, like I said in the last two of my videos, or the first one. And I'm all for learning. So I started on Bash. I want to start doing tutorials on Bash, and I want to showcase the bot that I use to make my applications. I want to help people to learn Bash through bots. Now, a lot of people will tell you how to write Bash, and I'm watching DistroTube, by the way. I just watched one of his videos, and his new video, a little piece, and he's showing people how to use Bash, which is pretty good for me because I'm using a bot. Although I know most of how the script is set up, so I can look at a bot script and tell if it's going to work off the bat. I can make my own Bash scripts, which is really easy, but when it gets to more complex Bash scripts, I tend to use a bot. Now, this is why I want to start making tutorials on how to make applications, because I could help other people. And as we all know, I get involved. I compile KDE from source, and I install the latest and greatest KDE dev. So it could be the dev 3.0 next year. I've got the ISO already online for people to download and just compile KDE Dev 2.0 or whatever version it is now. And it's just been updated the other day, so that it's got my new fixes, so you can install it, and then all you got to do is go to the terminal and type in plasma KDE src-build plasma-workspace, or is it plasma workspace? It's one of those. I haven't compiled in a while, but it will work off the bat and compile. Everything is installed. I do this for other people, not just myself. I actually compile the KDE Plasma Dev desktop to see how my desktop works. It'd be good for my applications as well. So anyway, talking about Hyperland, I'm learning just as much as you are, and I've used Hyperland Garuda. I've used different types of tiling window managers just to see what it's about, you know, just to dip my feet in the water and see what I can gather from it. And well, when I was doing my tests, I tried all these different tiling window managers to customize something and get something built for myself. And I just saw this at one stage and thought, you know what, this is pretty cool. I do like this. I love it. Now, obviously, there is ways to customize the mod keys, which you can go online for. I mean, we could go online right now and we can search up, you know, NWG. What did we just type in? NWG GitHub. If we go to here, I'm pretty sure the mod keys that I am looking up on my phone is on this website here. So sorry people, Blob Master. We need to go to something called Blob Master. No, we're on the wrong one. So we actually want to go to, I'm going to go here. Oh dear. It would help if I just had it open here on the computer. NWG panel. If we got anything on here called ISO here, so we got this. So this is where I just found out about how to open the terminal. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more information on how to configure the mod keys. Normally we're looking at a config file which is in the file manager. So if we go to the file manager and go to config, I'm pretty sure the mod key settings are set there, just like it is when you set up Hyprland. Now this is going to be a big task, being that, you know, we're using a glitching virtual machine. So I don't know what we're using as a file manager on here. It did say Funa, was it? Let's just, well, I don't think we're going to be able to use this to its full extent, you know, with all these problems. We've got Funa. So if we come here and we go home, and then we go here, I am in a virtual machine, this is not installed, so I don't know what settings are set up. So we obviously need to see hidden files. If we go to the config file, there should be something called doc hyprland config settings for Hyprland. This might be it. See, normally what I do is I just have a little look around, and if you find what you're looking for, then you know you're in the right place. It might take you a minute or two. I don't tend to edit things unless I know. So obviously we're looking for something called mod keys, and the mod key that we're currently using for the terminal is mod key T. So we'd look for something that has something for the terminal and something for mod key T. Now I'm not too sure if this will have it in it, because I don't know how to configure with this specific respin. But there will be hopefully information online on how to do this, although really and truly I don't currently know. So it would be kind of another video really, and a little time researching online. I mean, the internet is there for a reason. Not all information is on the internet, although you might be able to find it after a while. You know, it might not be in hindsight at the start. You might have to go round the corner looking. So I generally think this is a way forward for people that want to get onto Hyprland and see what it's about. Very well set up. I want to obviously show the features that, you know, are being used here. So if we go mod key and 2, this opens a separate window. We can go here. We've got all these different things, so we can turn the sound up. We've got a couple of other functions. Oh, so we've actually got a mod key information banner. See, I didn't know about this until I just tried this. And we've got all these different things. We've got the web browser, we've got the text editor, the file manager button, mod key, is it shift? So I think the S is shift. We could actually try that. So the file manager would be shift and F. That's pretty cool. So then we want to exit, no, not kill the window. We would like to show and hide, dock show and hide, which would be Alt D. with that. It's kind of hard to do it in a glitching virtual machine, but as you can see, you've got all these different options here, and I think this is quite cool because in Hyprland itself doesn't actually have this. You'd have to download this custom bar, should we say, sway bar, because I think they did change to sway bar if I remember reading correctly on the GitHub. But Hyprland as a whole is very good. It's easy to use, and that's why I liked it. So I could have one application there and one application there and switch back and forth and edit and I like how it's set up. I'd like to have my own custom version of it and use it at the same time, but I'm into Plasma and I'm so far set for using Plasma now, and I've got so many updates to do on Plasma that I'm stuck with that for the remainder going forward. I mean, it looks like that's what I'm doing. So if I have any plans in the future, I may try to make my own, although I really haven't got no means to at the moment because I've got my own other custom stuff. I would like to make my own gnome respin again, exactly the same as this. Honestly, exactly the same. We had this button, I had this button here on my gnome. I had this button here on my gnome, I had this button here on my gnome, I had this button here on my gnome, and we had this button here which would normally open just the gnome applications. But I had a gnome release at one point, so that might be something that I might look towards doing going forward, simply because it is possible when I have done it in the past. With Hyprland, it's something that I would have to sit there and tinker and do exactly what I did with my gnome and my Plasma to find something that I like before releasing. If anything, I would respin this as a whole. This is quite good. I honestly can't think of anything to hand to do to make this better. They've really done a good job, and it really is a minimal Hyprland. It's not really a desktop, and this takes it just that one step further to make it a desktop. And this is something that you can use on a daily, as a daily driver. It's set up for new users to just download and use. And as you can see, look, we're in a virtual machine. It's a bit glitchy. Some of the things I've just shown, you know, I'm learning about this myself. We've got all these funky options as well that don't normally come out the box with Hyprland, and I just think this is 10 out of 10. Now obviously I can't speak or give a review. This is not a review because I didn't sit there and make this. I've only just downloaded it, it's new to me, and we're having problems in the virtual machine. It's got nothing to do with this software. This is down to the fact that Hyprland doesn't like to work well with virtual machines. Now, if I wanted to set up Hyprland in a virtual machine now from basic, from the start, from the get-go, we're going to have issues now. We're going to have a lot of issues. We don't know if we can't check all the functions, and we're going to have a lot of issues building Hyprland basically because of all the graphical issues. We don't know if it's going to work. You know, it could crash whilst we're doing what we're doing because this doesn't like to work well. And we're going to have a lot of problems with the screen. It's going to take you ages to do what you need to do. It's definitely possible, but there's going to be a struggle, and I honestly just think this would be better moving forward. It's just there. Everything is there. I've got a credit developer. He spent his hours just like I do, and he's made something, you know. That is it for today. I just wanted to show some of the knowledge that I've gathered from using Hyprland. I don't use it on a day-to-day basis. I'm not the best when it comes to tiling window managers. It's new to me. We're all learning together. This might not be the best one, there might be a better one out there. But until you try, will you know? You know, I try many of things to see what's the best out there. I don't necessarily put things in baskets, you know. Oh, that's the best because that's got that feature, or that's the best because that's got that feature. We can't compare GNOME and KDE now. How can you compare two different types of desktop environments? GNOME has its own pros and Plasma has its own pros. It's like comparing Hyprland as a desktop environment. We all know Hyprland is not a desktop environment now, it's a window manager. So in my eyes, that's like comparing Hyprland to a desktop environment when it's a window manager. We can't compare GNOME and Plasma. People like to compare them online. Oh, GNOME's got this new feature, Plasma's got this new feature. There are two different types of desktop environments. How can you compare them when they've got two different types of they've got two different mechanisms to use the desktop? We haven't got the show and hide on GNOME. You know, we ain't got this bit here. You wouldn't normally get that. You got the normal Plasma taskbar. The GNOME is condemned and more minimal. Plasma has got a lot more to it in terms of what you can do on one screen. You know, that's the difference between GNOME and KDE to me, is you've got a lot more to do on one screen. You know, GNOME is more minimal, which is what I try to do with this desktop, which is why I'm able to mimic it with GNOME. I can make exactly the same. I'm trying to make, this is similar to GNOME. I've made KDE into GNOME basically. We've got all of these different functions in a minimal taskbar. You don't get this on KDE. A lot of people doing that. There's a lot of distributions on the internet that are already doing that. They're making their taskbar into similar GNOME. But we can't compare the two desktops because they're two different types of desktops. It makes no sense to compare GNOME or KDE. Do you want a minimal desktop with minimal things on your screen, or do you just want a full desktop with everything you can eat on your screen? That's what you got to ask yourself. You know, you can't really compare them because they're two different types of desktops. It's just stupid to me. It's stupid. You know, if you want something minimal, go for GNOME. You know, something a bit more lightweight on your eyes. If you want something like a full desktop, yeah, just set up for people that have come from Windows, should I say, then this GNOME is the way forward. Well, this would be the way forward really, because this has got everything you need to use on a day-to-day basis with no problems. You know, we're on base Arch repos. I don't create my own repos because you're going to be getting into problems. You're going to be getting into a lot of problems, and then you're going to be contacting me about the problems. I'd rather you go to Arch. We've got a problem on Torpedo KGE. If it's my system app, then fair bit, come to me. So be it, come to me. But if you get any problems with your packages, that's Arch. That's not me, because you're getting everything from Arch. You're not getting them from my repos. You download them from Manjaro's repos, and there's a problem. And he's a fucking slate, mate. You know, it's as simple as that. I'd rather keep it down to the books. We're using Arch KD right now, and you're using Arch KD's packages. You get a problem, you go to Arch and you go to KDE. You get a problem with my system app, then you come to me. Or you want a new feature in the distribution, you come to me. At the end of the day, the packages will always be the same because they're coming from the source, the people that actually make it themselves. Not me. I don't make the desktop. I make the theme for my desktop, which is why you won't get any problems with the theme. But the packages themselves are all from the main PayPal. You know, I don't want to be the middleman and then go to sleep and you get a problem, mate. Anyway, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. So bye from me, Aaron.